Herzlich willkommen zu einer Folge Harper liest Spezial. Was soll ich sagen? Herzlich willkommen zu Harper liest. Neben mir sitzt einer der, ja, ich würde sagen, erfolgreichsten und bekanntesten Schriftsteller unserer Zeit, Don Winslow. Herzlich willkommen. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you, thank you. And I think it's my turn to introduce my dear friend, my colleague, a wonderful actor, among many other things, the voice of James Bond, among many other things, the man who reads my books in German for the audiobooks, and the only person I'd want to do it, wonderful actor Dietmar Wunder.
Don, I'm flattered. Thank you so much for this introduction. I have to say, actually, it's a pleasure to read Don. We met actually. Ich erzähle schnell auf Deutsch. Wir haben uns damals bei Tage der Toten kennengelernt. Our first meeting was that we didn't know each other. Right. And then all of a sudden, like, they introduced us and said, you know, this is Don Winslow, Dietmar Wunder, hello, hello. And 1 hour later, they said, please stop talking to each other because we need the reading now, right? Remember that?
Yeah,
because from the very first moment. And so there's so much to talk about tonight. We want to actually ask you about your new book, City on Fire. I have some questions for you, my friend.
All right.
One of the questions you already know is definitely, what is City on Fire about?
City on Fire, Dietmar, as you know from reading it.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Is a story of a guy named Danny Ryan, who starts life as a fisherman and a longshoreman. He works on the docks, but he marries the youngest daughter of the Irish mob boss in Providence, Rhode Island, my hometown, where I'm from. And for that reason, he gets dragged into a mob war with the Italian mafia for control of New England.
And when I actually read the book for preparation to do the audiobook, I was already so excited because the way you actually develop characters, to develop the scenes, it was for me, from the very first beginning, it was a film that I was seeing. And when I was recording the whole book, it was like I saw already, this is like, actually, this should be this actor and this should be this actress. And I saw the movie pictures, and I'm sure that you already had the pictures in your head too, right? When you was
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I often think cinematically about these.
Yeah.
Not that I'm picturing actors, because I'd never do that, right? Because I need to have my own creation, my own people in there. But I often think about the camera. You know, sometimes I think, well, in this scene I need an establishing shot. Do you know what I mean? I need to pull back to that omniscient narrator and give the big picture. Other times I feel, no, I need to get really close to that character and stay close. And a lot of the time, though, the character is the camera, because I want the reader to see the story through the character's eyes. So it's almost like that film camera is inside the character, looking out. I'd be interested in your take, you know, an actor's take.
It's actually
on what it's like.
Because you said you don't have actors in your head. I have actually actors or actresses, or I have like people that I know. When there's maybe, for instance, Pasco Ferry. Pasco Ferry is, for me, is Don Corleone a little bit, like Marlon Brando, kind of, and that's one of the reasons why I have this special voice for him. And Liam is, for me, I saw already a German actor. Maybe you will recognize when you hear his voice that I have this one guy, because it helps me when I prepare my books to switch into different voices in this moment, that I don't have to think about, that I know, oh, okay, it's like, let's say, Marlon Brando or Danny DeVito or something. Then I say Danny, and this is actually my way of going into the books and create these characters.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I read my dialogue aloud to myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, when it's done, when I think it's done. Then I read it all out loud, because I won't necessarily hear the right notes, but I'll hear the wrong notes. But it's funny you mentioned Pasco Ferry, that character, because see, I never had Marlon Brando or any other actor in mind.
Yeah.
What I had in mind is a guy I remembered from my childhood. I can't name him.
Okay, of course. I won't ask you.
But that was very, very clearly in my mind, you know, every time Pasco came up, and then I could hear his voice.
To this question we come later, that it is a lot of like your history actually in this book. Your experiences with this actually real guys. I just have actors, and that's good, but you have like real personalities that you actually met back then, right?
Yeah, I grew up around these guys.
Yeah.
You know, the mob was sort of always around. I wasn't directly involved, nor were my family, but they were always around the neighborhood. You know, the 19-year-old mafioso wannabes would be on the corner, keeping an eye on things. And even as a kid, you know, like an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, I knew if there was a problem, somebody threatened you, or, you know, the guy came around, you know, offering you candy from a car or something, you went and you saw that 19-year-old.
And you went to him and said, you
Oh,
know...
yeah.
So you were the friends, actually, you were a friend of those kind of wannabes, and they protected you?
I saw The Godfather with the son of one of those guys.
Okay.
You know?
So you were a friend, actually.
Just a friend.
Kind of. I mean, I think it's interesting because I think we all experience this thing that you meet people, you know that they have something to do with a criminal background, whatever, and when you are actually nice to them, they don't do anything bad to you because they protect you. They tell you, if you need me at one point, just call me.
Just call me. Just call me. No, these, you know, I remember these, and the older guys, you know, on the corner were the guys who'd give you quarters, 25 cents, to buy comic books or to get a soda or something, you know. They were just always there. You took it for granted.
So we'll ask Don Winslow if he can protect me at one point. Right?
I'd be happy to protect you, Dietmar.
You would do that?
Yeah, if you need something, let me know. But at some point, I might need a favor, and I'll come and ask.
And then you call me.
Yeah, I'll call you, and you'll give me a favor.
I will actually read a little bit to you, or to all of you, actually. And I'm so sorry I have to read it in German. You won't understand. But I think you will understand, right?
I bet I understand more than you think I understand.
Okay, so I have to be careful what I say. Okay. Don Winslow, City on Fire. Oh Gott, das Essen, denkt Danny. Muscheln und Krabben, riesige Töpfe mit Spaghetti und Soße, gefüllte Paprika und italienische Salsicce. Der Witz ist, dass die Iren niemals und auf gar keinen Fall kochen dürfen. Einmal hat Martin eine Kartoffel in Alufolie gewickelt und Danny gebeten, sie heimlich in der Glut zu verstecken. Als Pasco die Muscheln ausgrub, fand er sie und schrie, Marty, du alter irischer Ganove! Oh Gott, wie viel sie essen. Es wird immer mehr aufgetischt. Nach den Muscheln und der Pasta, den Salsicce und der Paprika bringen die Frauen Schachteln mit den süßen, kleinen italienischen Keksen aus Cantanellas Bäckerei in Knightsville. Ach, wie süß diese Kekse zu dem starken, bitteren Espresso schmecken und wie gut der heiße Kaffee tut, wenn der Nebel aufzieht und die Nacht kühler wird. Mary hat immer ein paar zusätzliche Sweatshirts im Haus, große, dicke Pullis, ausgeleiert und von der Sonne gebleicht. Danny geht rein, holt eins für Terry. Naja, und wo er schon mal da ist, kann er auch gleich pinkeln gehen. Er macht die Tür zum Badezimmer auf und sieht Paulie, Pam und den verfluchten Liam über ein paar Lines gebeugt. Sie sehen ihn an wie Kinder, die bei irgendwas erwischt wurden, und Liam sagt, oh, hoppla. Wir haben vergessen abzuschließen, erklärt Paulie unnötigerweise. Danny denkt, ihr kokst im Haus von Pasco Ferry? Habt ihr sie noch alle? Ganz offensichtlich nicht, denn Liam zieht die Line schnell fertig und hält Danny den aufgerollten Schein hin. Nein, danke, sagt Danny. Wischt euch wenigstens die Nasen ab, bevor ihr wieder rauskommt, verfluchte Scheiße. Er vergisst, dass er pinkeln musste, holt das Sweatshirt für Terry und geht wieder raus, hilft ihr hineinzuschlüpfen. Danke, Baby, sagt sie und lehnt sich an ihn. Jemand hat eine Mandoline mit nach draußen gebracht und spielt, während Pasco eine schöne, traurige Ballade auf Italienisch singt. Seine Stimme dringt durch den Nebel, als wäre sie von Neapel aus über den Atlantik getrieben. Ein altes Lied aus einem alten Land, das wie Treibholz hier an diesen Strand der neuen Welt gespült wird. Vedo mare, cante bello, spira tanto, sentimento, na 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 na, na 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 na, na na na. Na, 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 na. Pasco beendet sein Lied und es wird sehr still. Er sagt, du bist dran, Marty. Ne, sagt Marty. Es ist ein Ritual. Marty will nicht, Pasco besteht drauf, dann lässt Marty sich doch überreden zu singen. Während es noch hin und her geht zwischen den beiden, kommen die drei aus dem Bad zurück. Pam trägt jetzt ein Sweatshirt und sieht immer noch wahnsinnig sexy aus. Sie und Paulie setzen sich zusammen hin. Liam geht auf die andere Seite des Feuers und lässt sich neben Danny und Terry nieder. Dann singt Marty mit bebender Stimme The Parting Glass. Of all the money I've ever had, I spend it in good company. Liam beugt sich zu Danny hinüber und sagt, sag mal, was will die von dem Schmalzkopf? Danny muss nicht fragen, wen er meint. Er schaut über das Feuer zu Pam, die sich an Paulie lehnt. Selbst mit der Kapuze auf dem Kopf, unter der ihre Haare größtenteils verschwinden, sieht sie im Licht des Feuers wunderschön aus. Lass es bleiben. Hey, ich lass es ja, sagt Liam. Marty gelangt ans Ende seines Songs. Und danach wird es still. Mary und ein paar Frauen fangen an aufzuräumen, Sachen ins Haus zurückzutragen. Manche bleiben einfach sitzen und schauen ins Feuer. Andere stehen auf und verabschieden sich. Danny stupst Terry an. Komm, komm, wir gehen zum Strand runter. Möglichst unauffällig steht Danny auf und sie schleichen sich zusammen davon und näher ans Wasser, bis der Nebel sie verbirgt. Er zieht sie in den Sand und öffnet ihre Jeans. Hey, 2-mal an einem Tag? Fragt Terry. Das ist Rekord. Naja, so ein Baby macht sich nicht von alleine. Es dauert nicht lange und nach der ganzen Sonne und dem Sex und dem Alkohol schlafen sie beide ein. Danny erwacht aus einem tiefen Schlaf, als er plötzlich Geschrei am Strand hört. Pams Stimme, jetzt nicht mehr tief, aber immer noch heiser. Er hat mich begrapscht, schreit sie. Dann schaut sie auf und Danny schaut auf und sie sieht sie betrunken durch den tiefen Sand in seine Richtung starken. Sie will wohl zurück zu dem inzwischen erloschenen Feuer. Er zieht seinen Hosenstall zu und steht auf und fragt noch halb benommen, was ist denn los? Was ist passiert? Wie in einem bösen Traum. Er hat mich begrapscht. Das Dreckschwein wollte mir an die Titten. Jetzt sieht Danny Liam hinter Pam herlaufen, sein dummes Grinsen im Gesicht, die Hände abwehrend erhoben. Hey, war ein Versehen, ein Missverständnis. Scheiße, Liam. Terry ist aufgestanden. Sie nimmt Pam in den Arm und die fängt an zu weinen. Schon gut, ist schon gut. I will continue later because we have to talk. Just a little bit.
That was brilliant, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I understood almost all of it.
Really? Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just context and the way you do it, you know?
It's interesting because for me it's like what you said. It's kind of having my own film in my head, and actually every reading is different. Okay, when I'm recording, I know what I have to do, but actually this reading today is different than our first reading on Tuesday.
It was, actually.
Because it was different, because I don't know, sometimes I'm a little bit faster, sometimes I have a break there, I have a break there, and that's actually what's happening there. But enough about me, it's about you today. Why did you decide actually to write a story about your hometown? Was it something that was already in your head, or how was it actually?
I wrote the first sentence of this book 27 years ago.
27 years.
27 years ago, had the idea, and that sentence, by the way, is not changed by a syllable in 27 years. In those interim, years, I was doing a lot of other things, of course, writing other books and things. The real answer, to why my wife and I went back to Rhode Island. I left there when I was 17, right?
Okay.
To go see the world, to do something else. When I left that town, it was a down and out town. It was a Bruce Springsteen kind of beach town, right? The Rust Belt, as we would call it. The factories had gone south. The fishing was played out. There was nothing for me there.
So you have to say, you stay there and find your hard way, or you say, okay, I leave
I leave.
Okay.
I go do something different. And I don't know what would have happened with me if I'd stayed, A lot of the guys who did it didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
Or they went sort of the Danny Ryan route.
Was it kind of difficult or hard to write about your history, your hometown?
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, because I think, look, I think the memory, for everybody, the memories of their youth, some of them are quite good and some of them are not so good.
Yeah.
But if you go back, you're confronting both those things. You know, you're living in a realm of memory. Every location you go to, every spot you drive by has a place in this story, but it also has a place in my story.
Yeah.
You know, but I fell in love with the place again. You know,
That's nice.
We went back to take care of my mother. My wife and I,
Yeah.
went back there. You know, she needed more and more care. We would stay for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And I began to feel this sort of excitement about those locations. And I started to fall in love with the people again. The sort of gritty soulfulness of the people in this fishing town.
Was it kind of like a catharsis? You know what that means?
Yeah.
Like this, I know you have like kind of nice memories, but bad memories, and it's like you made your peace with this kind of memories and...
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I could have written these books, you know, and this is the first of a trilogy, much of which is set there.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have written it if I hadn't had that catharsis, hadn't come to that peace. And I think that's why it took 27 years, you know.
Yeah.
No one's ever accused me of maturity, Dietmar, you know, least of all you. But I think with some maturity and some insight, you see things differently.
Yeah.
You see the past differently, and you see the places for what they are now. And then I think I could actually sit down and type, you know.
Because you already mentioned the whole crime history about this book, mafia, drugs and violence and corruption is a big topic in this book. How close is it to reality, actually, in novel and reality? I mean, you already mentioned that it was there when you grew up there. And when you came back now, is it still there? Is it...
No, it's changed a lot. Listen, this book is set in the late 1980s,
Yeah.
you know, which is when the mob started to go into its steep decline for a lot of reasons. But there's virtually nothing I can think of in this book that didn't actually happen in one form or another. The incident that you read,
Yeah.
based on a true incident. All of the inner workings of the mob and the way those things work is absolutely realistic. Now I've drawn the story from Homer's Iliad. It follows the track of the Iliad, but you could read it without reference to or knowledge of the classics at all. And the crime stuff in there is absolutely real.
And because you just mentioned that, when I was reading the book, I thought, wow, it's kind of like the modern version of mythology.
Yeah.
And we talked about that earlier, and I think it's fascinating. There are even names who are... Cassandra is one really important character. Cassie, her shorter name or her nickname, and you kept this name, but actually you have other names that you changed. Danny is somebody else, and I think it's fascinating when you know it. Then you say, wow, this is the modern version of like the Greek mythology. Yeah,
yeah, I think there's a reason the classics are the classics,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because they speak to eternal human needs and wants,
Yeah.
to the human condition. And those works, the Iliad, the Odyssey, and others, spoke to all of those in such strong and vivid, really human terms. And I was hoping, and I hope I did, you know, to take those themes from that great poetry and merge it with what I feel is the poetry of the crime genre.
It's interesting. Für Sie Zuhörer auch auf Deutsch, wenn Sie City on Fire lesen, auf Deutsch, Sie können es auch auf Englisch lesen natürlich, dann kriegen Sie vielleicht sogar Lust, die alten griechischen Mythologien zu lesen, weil das ist wirklich eine Parallele, die da ist, was faszinierend ist, wenn man es erst mal weiß. Man braucht es nicht zu lesen, aber auf jeden Fall ist es so, dass man sagt, oh, vielleicht fange ich mal wieder an, ein bisschen Geschichtsbücher zu lesen, weil es wirklich faszinierend ist. I just said that it's like maybe the people read your book and then they say, okay, maybe I can read the old classics again. Because you love them, right? You
I
love
do, absolutely, yeah.
Because they are so much, because you said, the world always wants a hero, female hero or male hero who protects them, who saves them. And Danny actually is a really fascinating character because he doesn't want to be a hero.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. And when I read the first lines in the book, I saw, I didn't know who is Danny in the future in the book, but I read it and I thought like, because I know your style of writing, I thought like, he is so great again. Danny Ryan says something in the beginning and you know already that he will be the hero. But it's not obvious. It's kind of like, it's really fascinating for me.
Yeah, Danny's lying on this beach, the beach I grew up on and I'm still on, you know, most of the year. And he sees this woman come out of the water, this woman he's never seen. And he knows right then that everything's going to change, including him.
Is it a little bit like, it's always hard to ask, but is Danny Ryan a little bit, is there something from you in Danny Ryan? Something that you, I mean, you were a hero. I have to say he's a hero, but you don't want to be a hero.
Yeah, or nor am I, so it works out, you know. But yeah, you know, look, if I'm being really honest, you know, I usually say no to that question.
Yeah, of course.
Because I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
You know, but if I'm being really honest, yes. You know, I think that we both come from this fishing town where the expectations were not great, were not high. We're both Irish Catholic, all that comes with that.
Okay.
You know, we both eventually had to leave our hometowns in kind of defeat and wander the world for a long time before we found a place to really put our feet and have some success in the world. So I really could relate to kind of Danny's arc in these 3 books, yeah.
So there's a little bit Danny in you. I like it because I like Danny a lot. It's for me because he's not this hero guy. He's like somebody who is, please leave me alone. I don't want to do that. I want to have a family. I want to have a safe life. But he has responsibility. He feels that he has to do something.
Yeah, loyalty is his tragic flaw.
Yeah.
You know, he's loyal to his friends, to his family, to his ethnicity, to this crime family that sort of adopted him. And at a number of points in the book, he has a chance to get away, and he doesn't because of loyalty.
Yeah. Were there difficulties writing City on Fire? That you say it was hard going back, or was it to create the characters?
The characters were not hard to create because I knew them so well. You know, I went to school with them, I played hockey with them, I surfed with them, I drank with them. You know, the guys I knew. Cassie I knew very well. Some of the other characters, particularly the women, like there's a character, Madeleine McKay.
One of really great character,
You know, extremely powerful woman. It took me 2 or 3 years to create her backstory, you know, to make her a full human being with a past and, you know, to find out what made her tick and who she was. Those characters were harder.
Because you say, it's interesting that you say you have to create this character, you have maybe an idea, because she has a pendant in the mythology, in the Greek mythology too, it's another name, but her backstory, because sometimes actors are asked, do you have a backstories for the guys that you play, you know, and I think as an author you need that, because you cannot write just like a empty personality and there's no backstory behind it. Right?
I'll bet you do the same thing though, but you do the same thing as an actor, because a lot of times I'll write backstories that never make it into the book.
Yeah, okay.
Right, because I need to know.
And you know how the person would react, the character in your book. For me, I knew I have to know what my character will do when something is happening in a film or on the stage with me.
Yeah, and that's one definition of character.
Yeah.
It's the predictable responses.
Yeah.
Right? How I know I'm me, how I know you're you is the way we respond to each other, right? And so even if I don't put it in the book, I need to know it so that when stuff happens, that character responds correctly.
So you can actually, at one point, you can write books. We come to this later because you made a decision concerning writing books, but maybe at one point you say, I will actually publish all my backstories from the characters there.
Well, that's an interesting thought.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Short stories.
Short stories.
Short story about Madeleines.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
it's a secret,
it's an
actually.
Interesting idea, yeah.
I will just read a little bit more, because we were just on the beach, and this is because we were talking about that. You said this accent, or this actually happened, this beach.
This did, yeah.
Wir waren jetzt gerade da, wo Danny aufgewacht ist und plötzlich was passiert ist mit Pam. Terry schaut Danny an, als wollte sie sagen, tu doch was. Dann hört Danny Leute näher kommen. Paulie, Peter, Pat, Sal, Antonucci und Tony tauchen aus dem Nebel auf. Danny packt Liam am Ellenbogen. Komm schon, weg hier. Liam macht sich los. Kein Ding. Ich bin bloß aus Versehen mit der Hand an ihre Titte gekommen. Das ist ein Missverständnis. Du musst hier weg. Wo warst du? Fragt Paulie Pam. Ich habe dich überall gesucht. Ich habe einen Spaziergang gemacht, sagt sie. Wollte einen klaren Kopf bekommen und das Dreckschwein muss mir gefolgt sein. Sie zeigt auf Liam. Hat er dir was getan? Fragt Paulie. Er hat mir an die Titten gefasst. Was soll der Scheiß Liam? Brüllt Peter. Sal kommt näher. So ist Sal, denkt Danny. Es ist sein Job, sich für die Morettis um solche Sachen zu kümmern. Pat geht dazwischen. Reg dich ab. War ein Versehen, sagt Liam und grinst dreckig. Ich wollte mich im Label orientieren, hab die Hand ausgestreckt und ups, Titte. Halt deine blöde Klappe, fährt Pat ihn an. Danny packt Liam, hält ihn diesmal ganz fest und zieht ihn fort, weil Paulie jetzt durchdreht. Ich trete dir in deinen verfluchten Arsch, brüllt Paulie. Ich bring dich um, verdammte Scheiße, du blöder Wichser. Liam schreit, versuch's doch, du Arschloch. Danny schaut ihm seitlich an ihren Schädel und sagt, halt die Klappe. Liam macht sich los, rennt den Strand hinunter, weg von ihnen. Danny will ihm hinterher, aber Jimmy Mack ist jetzt auch da, packt Danny und sagt, lass ihn. Danny wehrt ihn nicht ab und sieht zu, wie Liam im Nebel verschwindet. Pat geht jetzt zu Paulie und Pam. Tut mir leid, ich entschuldige mich für meinen Bruder. Das ist ein Arschloch, sagt Paulie. Da kann ich dir nicht widersprechen. Das war nicht in Ordnung, was er gemacht hat, erklärt Peter. Er ist betrunken. Das ist keine Entschuldigung. Nein, ist es nicht, sagt Pat. Ich rede mit ihm. Wir kümmern uns darum. Können wir bitte reingehen, raus aus der Kälte? Fragt Harry. Das arme Mädchen zittert. Er hat doch nicht mehr gemacht, oder? Fragt Paulie Pam. Nein, er hat mir nur an den Busen gefasst. Sie nehmen Pam mit in ihr Cottage, weil sie Pascal und Mary nicht wecken wollen. Terry schafft es, sie zu beruhigen. Irgendwann lacht sie sogar wieder ein bisschen und dann geht Paulie mit ihr zurück in seine Unterkunft. Liam Murphy stolpert durch den Nebel und suhlt sich in Selbstmitleid. Alle sind wütend auf ihn, dabei gibt es gar keinen Grund dafür. Ja gut, okay, denkt er, ich habe ein bisschen viel getrunken und ihr an die Titten gefasst. Na und? Aber ich habe sie ja nicht vergewaltigt oder so, Herrgott noch mal. Er lässt sich in den Sand fallen, trinkt den letzten Schluck von seinem Bier und wirft die leere Dose ins Wasser. Morgen kriege ich gehörig aufs Dach, denkt er. Von Pat, meinem Alten, den ganzen Frauen. Ganz zu schweigen von Pascal und Mary Ferry und den Morettis. Ich werde die nächsten Tage zu jedem hingehen und mich bei allen entschuldigen müssen. Natürlich auch bei Pam und ich muss einen Riesenhaufen Scheiße schlucken. Vielleicht sollte ich einfach runter nach Florida fahren, bis Gras über die Sache gewachsen ist. Aber wie auch immer, das kommt morgen. Er rappelt sich auf und will zurück ins Cottage. Erstmal den Raus ausschlafen, dann mit dem Kater fertig werden. Und anschließend, da wird er sich was überlegen. Er läuft den Strand hoch und ist schon fast an der Straße, als er am Nebel 4 Gestalten auftauchen sieht. Peter, Paulie, Sal und Tony. Na du Arschloch, sagt Paulie und hebt den Baseballschläger. Liam grinst und sagt, aus dem Koksdeal wird wohl nichts, oder? Paulie schwingt den Schläger. Actually, now the problems are... I'm so excited that now the problem starts. I finished the thing with the bat.
I heard,
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah,
okay.
straight.
And I think when I was reading the book and when I was recording, I was so actually kind of excited because the story is like so nice. You know, they have the dinner, they have the romantic atmosphere on the beach, and then all of a sudden it's like, why is that happening? And me as a reader, or like the actor who is playing that part, I think like, oh please, no, I know exactly what's happening now, and then they don't stop messing up. The bad guys are not the bad guys. I would say Liam and Paulie maybe are the most pushing people, and I felt already so much from the very beginning. No, please don't do that. As Danny said, I know the woman is trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the book violates the rules of the thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, because according to whoever experts, I don't know what mountain they got this tablet from, but they seem to have done, that you're supposed to have your main character in jeopardy on page 1. You know? Good. So if I had been obeying those rules, the scene you just read would have been the first scene of the book.
Actually, yeah.
Right?
You're right.
The precipitating violent incident would then launch the book. My thought was, though, that if I started it there, no one would care. The reader wouldn't care.
That's true.
It would just have been this ugly incident. And then I would have had to go and kind of backfill.
Yeah.
So I thought rather than that, and because, you know, it is the first of a trilogy that features Danny, who's, you know, kind of a minor player in the Iliad.
Yeah.
I wanted the story seen through his eyes. I wanted to establish these characters, get to know them, see that they're friends with each other, and then have things go wrong, and then have things spiral out of control.
Because you just said Danny, when I was reading the first sentence, I thought like maybe Danny, before I knew the story, Danny is the one who falls in love with Pam, you know?
Right.
Wait, exactly. I thought like, no, we won't spoiler. No time for spoiler, actually. You recently announced your retirement from writing. And when I heard that, I was kind of really sad because I love your books, but I think there's a reason behind it. And you want to tell us what you will do in the future?
Yeah, I'll continue to do what I've been doing for about the past 5 years, which is using, you know, whatever social media presence I have to speak out against things that I think are wrong, particularly Trump and Trumpism and his imitators, what I see as anti-democratic, frankly, neo-fascism, and a real danger to American democracy. And so I just want to devote myself full-time to that fight.
That's really honorable, to be honest, Don.
We don't get to choose the times we live in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like that.
And with this trilogy, we talked a lot about homecoming earlier. This was sort of the completion of a circle. You know, 22 novels later, I come home.
I like that.
And so given the confluence of that, with what's happening in my country, with what's happening in the world, this seemed like the time to say, you know, okay, it's time to set down that pen.
Beautiful.
And pick up a metaphorical sword. You know.
Actually, the circle is, you know, full.
Yeah.
Because it's like homecoming, and now you say, okay, the next circle I do.
Yeah, listen, and I've had such a great career. Far better than I ever thought, and probably better than I ever deserved, you know?
No, you deserved it.
No, really, but it's so now seems like the time in one's life.
Yeah.
A little old.
We're not old, Don. We have the same hairstylist, actually.
To give back.
Yeah.
You know, I also want to spend more time helping aspiring writers.
Yeah.
You know, and to remain in and sort of increase this fight that we're in.
You never thought, I'm sure that you never thought when you started writing that you will be so successful at one point, right?
No, and neither did the world, by the way. You know, I was an overnight success at 55. You know, I'd written a book called Power of the Dog, which did quite well here in Germany.
I know.
Nothing in the United
actually.
States. That's where we met.
Yeah.
I had $37 in my bank.
Wow.
After Power of the Dog came out. You know, so I've been so lucky, you know, and so blessed that, you know, it's a good time to go, and it's a good time to. You know,
you're such an awesome human being, Don. I have to say that at that one point. You're really great. It's a trilogy, you said, right?
Yeah.
And I ask you, but I know the answer already, but for actually the viewers, and is it ready already?
It is, it's done.
Yeah.
All 3 books are written.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't tell me the end, because I want to read the end by myself. You know? No,
okay.
But it's done, so it will be out when?
Let me see. In Germany, the next book will be out May of 23, and then May of 24.
Okay.
So it's sort of a long goodbye.
But I like that. It's kind of like, you remember that Lord of the Rings movie is coming out every year. We have to wait. Now it's not. Today it's like you old traditional. I like that. Wait 1 year, then you can read again, and then, you know, you can read the next book.
The best sunsets are slow, Dietmar.
How romantic. I like that. Yeah. Don, is there something that you actually want to say, your fans, your people who read your book, and or actually that you have something like a message for yourself that you want to say, you know, this I want to tell you?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like to say to fans more than anything else is thank you. You know, thank you. Without readers, without booksellers,
yeah,
I don't and wouldn't have had this job that I love.
Yeah.
And that I've always wanted. You know, every material thing I have in life, I owe to readers, I owe to the fans, I owe to the booksellers. So yeah, what I really want to say, and I mean it, you know, deeply, is thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Dietmar.
It was beautiful. Thank you for actually stay with us here. And so, read the book. It's beautiful. City on Fire, English or German. You also can listen to the audiobook. You don't have to, but you can also actually read and listen, whatever, at the same time. Don, it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for the beautiful reading.
Yeah,
as
thank
always.
You, Don.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Dankeschön.